The sikha we will learn today is in the Sichas Chelek Chavdalet under the heading of Elul. But when you see the heading where it says Elul, there's a star next to it, and there's on the bottom a ha'ara saying that this is a siyum Masechta Rosh Hashanah, hadran that the Rebbe made on the Gemara of Rosh Hashanah. Now, what is the connection between this hadran on Rosh Hashanah to Elul? So the Rebbe says there in this ha'ara that it's known that Elul is connected, and it has a remez of all three things of Torah, Tefillah, and Tzedakah. And there are Rosh Hashanah and Psukim to these three. But the Rebbe brings in different sichas. He says that Elul is a Rosh Hashanah of the Posik Ino Leyode V'Samti Loch, which talks about Ori Mikla, the cities of refuge. That has to do with Torah, because it says Divrei Torah Kilton, just like Ori Miklot holds a person and saves him, so too Torah also contains and holds a person and saves him. Elul is a Rosh Hashanah, Anila Deide V'Deide Li. I am to my beloved is to mean that's tefillah. When we are connected, we connect ourselves to Hashem. Elul is a Rosh Hashanah, Ish L'Re'eyim Atonus L'Avyonim, which talks about Shalach Mones. That's Gemilas Chasodim, that's like Zokeh. So we see that Elul has a shaykhus to these three. So therefore, this siyum, which talks about the machloikes between Rabbi Gamliel and the Chachamim, Benegei, these three inyonim, has a shaykhus to Elul. And the Rebbe starts like this: Benegei Tefillah with Tzibur, concerning davening with the minyan, with the Tzibur, was this from the Mailas Achich Shuvas Tefillah, which we know is something very important. It's a special Maila when it comes to daven. Gefindt man a Plukta zwischen the Chachamim and Rabbi Gamliel. We find an argument in the Mishnah, as the Rebbe quotes in the other two, between the Chachamim and Rabbi Gamliel. The Chachamim sagen, the Chachamim say like this: Kishem sheshliach Tzibur chayiv, kach kol yochid chayiv. Es ist do achiyuv auf jeden yochid von dem Tzibur zum Espal sein für sich. We know that everyone damish b'nesre. After everyone damish b'nesre, then we have the shliach tzibur. The shliach tzibur is known as the shatz. Shatz is an abbreviation of the word shliach tzibur. Also, we nowadays call him the chazan, so we could use the lashon throughout learning the sikha. Call him the chazan, call him the shatz, the shliach tzibur. Anyway, so the people daven and the shliach tzibur davens. So the chachamim say that just like the shliach tzibur, the chazan has to say Shemona Esrei out loud, so too every individual that's in the minyan has to daven Shemona Esrei privately. And Rabbi Gamliel says, shliach tzibur meitzes rabbi lechavasim. No, not everyone has to daven. The shliach tzibur, the chazan, could be meitzi every person their obligation. Could have them be yetzer their obligation just by listening to the chazan. And not everyone has to daven. When the Gemara bringt of them a brayse. This was in the Mishnah. The Gemara quotes a brayse. The Gemara says like this: Omrei le Rabbi Gamliel. The Chachamim said to Rabbi Gamliel, Lidvarech, according to you, that you say that the shliach tzibur is meitzi everybody, lo matzibur mispalulim. So why is everybody davening? Why every person of the minyan davening? Omerlem, so he said to them, Kedei lahaz the shliach tzibur tefilosei. The shliach tzibur will have Zeit zuzukregen sein tefillah. That when they daven, the shliach tzibur was supposed to say it out loud, has time to prepare before he davens. And the Rebbe in Order 5 says the Lashon that Tisefta says clearly, Shliach Tzibur maskin esatzmi, he prepares himself. So he answered, really everyone doesn't have to daven. But since they want to give time for the Shliach Tzibur to get ready and to prepare himself, especially in those days that the Shemona Esrei was not exactly the words, everyone had to make up more or less his own words with the same idea, but maybe, so he had to prepare. So everyone davens, so then he has time to prepare. But be'emes, they don't have to daven. Now Reb Gamliel turned to them and he said, according to you, according to you, that everyone has to daven anyway, so why does the chazan have to say, repeat Shemona Esrei out loud? So they answered him, to be meitzi, somebody does not have to daven. If somebody doesn't know how to daven, what's he going to do? So the shliach tzibur davens. Those who don't know how to daven, for them it is. They're not boki, they don't know how to daven. Rabbi Gamliel answered him, it's not true. He doesn't agree with it. He says, just like the shliach tzibur is meitzi, somebody doesn't know how to daven, so to everybody else who knows how to daven could also be yetzer with the shliach tzibur. And they don't really have to daven themselves. The say so comes out very simple here. According to Chachamim, is tzibur ikir. According to Chachamim, the tzibur is the main thing. It's a loshon that the Rosh says, the Rabbi says in Order 6, the tzibur is the main thing. Tzibur means the people of the community. The inyan for tefillah, but tzibur is what the tzibur is mispalel tzazam. The whole idea of davening with a minyan davening, but tzibur is that the people of the tzibur, which means the people of the minyan, they daven together. Und der Linie von Chazoras Hashatz is based at Takona to make the main boki. And the fact that the Chachamim were masaken that you have to have the Shliach Tzibur, the Chazan, saying Shvinesre, that's a takona for those people to be made. See, those people don't know how to daven. But the main part of the davening is that every individual of the minyan daven. That's called tefillah b'tzibur. You have a lot of people together, 10 people together, and each one davens. That's the main part of tefillah b'tzibur. So that's called the tzibur. The 10 people who are there, that's the ikar part. Mashenker Rabbi Gamliel holds ashliach tzibur. It's not that tzibur is the ikar, but the shliach tzibur, the chazan is the main thing, which means like this, the same lotion of the Rosh. She says shliach tzibur. The ikar from tefillah b'tzibur is the tefillah shliach tzibur. The main part of tefillah b'tzibur, what's a pshat davening with a minyan, is when the chazan repeats it, says the Shemon Esrei. When those was either a chazoras hashatz is jeder yochet from the tzibur mispal tefillah lachash for sich, and this that before the chazan repeats the Shemon Esrei, every individual that's davening with the minyan davens his own. We call it still a quiet Shemon for himself. It does blaze takona tzulut mishatz. That's a takona for the chazan. Kedei lahaz the shliach tzibur tefillah, and he has the time to prepare his davening out loud. So we have these two opinions: is the tzibur the main part, all the people together, the community is the part, or the shliach tzibur is the one that's the most important part? Now, the Rebbe is going to explain what is the reason and the explanation in this argument, whether the tzibur is the iked, the people, all the people that are there is the iked, or the shliach tzibur is the iked, the chazan is the iked. The Rebbe said we could say this is connected to a question, to a discussion that's known, a discussion that Rabbi Yosef Engel and Lekach Leib discusses, and the Rebbe discusses it in many other sichas too. What's the discussion? What is more important? Riba yakamus or the gedel ha'ichrus? If you have, there's quantity and quality. So you could have a lot of quantity, and then you have quality. What's more important? Which means, which one overweighs? Is it riba yakamus? More quantity is more important than better quality, or is the is the quality more important? We find actually Rabbi Gamliel, same Rabbi Gamliel, we find a machlokes between him and other chachamim, his friends. The Gemara tells us in Brochus, as B'shas Rabbi Gamliel is given Nosi, Rabbi Gamliel was the head of the Sanhedrin, he was the Nosi, he made an announcement. Any Talmud, any student, that his inside is not like his outside. In other words, outside he makes himself look like he's a Talmud Chacham and he's a good person, etc., etc. But his inside is not the same way. So any Talmud that his inside doesn't fit to his outside, shouldn't come in. And because of that, many Talmidim didn't come in. And then later, B'shas Mati given from the Nesias, when they took him away from being the Nasi. And Rabbi Lozer ben Azari geworden Nasi, and Rabbi Lozer ben Azari became the Nasi. So cool, L'Shem Pesach, they took away the guard by the door. All the students were able to come in. And they didn't look whether you deserve it or not, whether your inside is like the outside. And the Gemara said, that day, many benches were added in the Beis HaMedrash. Many more Talmidim came to the Beis HaMedrash. The Gemara goes in opinions how many were added, but that thing was added. Does Hayes means like this? Rabbi Gamliel holds, Rabbi Gamliel holds that what's the Iker Inyan? The most important thing of a yeshiva, which is Beis HaMedrash, is the quality of the Talmidim. When the Rebbe reflected Nora Ailozmi Talmidim was Teichem Kebarim, so therefore he led in only those Talmidim, those students, which their inside is like the outside, means they were proper quality. Even though because of that, you minimize the amount, the quantity of the Talmidim, how many Talmidim came in. So he held, Eichus is more important. Quality is more important. But the other ones, which are the Blazim and Azaria, who became the Nosi, and same thing, Rabbi Shua and Rabbi Kiva, and Rabbi Shua and Rabbi Kiva are also involved in this whole discussion. And they led in the Talmidim, and they hold, as Ribi Akamis is Machriya Mailach Seichus, that the more quantity overweighs the greatness of the quality. When the Rebbe halten, the Rebbe darf that I wasn't That's what they felt you should let in Talmidim, which their inside is not like the outside. It means they're not such high quality, but let them in. Because the most important part of this should be more students in yeshiva. Ribui becomes more in quantity. even though this will cause a minimization, it will minimize in the general quality of the yeshiva. So therefore, even in the echos of the individuals, it'll be a lower level in the echos of each Talmud. If there will be many Talmidim that are not in such a high echos, it'll lower the standard of the echos of the quality. But it doesn't matter, because according to them, the quantity is more important than the quality. So we see clearly there's a machlekes, Rabbi Gamliel and others. Rabbi Gamliel holds the main thing is the quality, and the other Chachamim hold the main thing is the quantity. So now that we know that's their machlekes, so you could say, as in dem was Rabbi Gamliel halt atziras shatzikir, geht in the shitos as echus is machriya kama. So we'll explain that when Rabbi Gamliel says that the main part of tefillah b'tzibur is the chazans saying the Shemona Esrei, fits, goes according to his own opinion that quality overweighs the quantity, as the Rebbe will explain. Well, how do we see that? And the Viridem explanation is like this. In the Muftuf and Hatzibur Gufa Danido, Beid the Miles, for Kamas and Nechers. When you have a tzibur, we talked there about davening with tzibur, tefillah with tzibur. When you have a tzibur, there are two things in the tzibur. There's Kamas and Nechers, there's quantity, and quality. Where do we see both? Hatzibur Bashteit, Dafkif Moribu Bekamas, Asora Al Kaponim Yisrael. What does a tzibur mean? When you have a minyan, 10 people. So you have to have quantity. You have to have at least 10 people. So there's an amount that you have to have. That's one thing. Then there's another thing. When you have that tziruf and asorim Yisrael, il shafta metzias chadoshim. When you have 10 people, it makes a new unit, a new metzias. A chativa achas v'narei makes one new unit of a holy community. Achshivas beichas. It means there's a new eichus that happens here. So when you have a minyan, you have two things. You have 10 people, which is a lot of people. A certain amount of people, you need quantity, and then you also have the quality of having a new idea here of a minyan. Und das ist der Chiluk zwischen Tfilas HaTzibur was es Kela, the Tfilas von Kol Echad V'Echad von dem Tzibur von Yatzim and Tfilas HaShatz. And this is the difference between the Tzibur davening, which means that every single person himself davens, versus the Tfilah that the Chazan davens. Tfilas HaTzibur are the Maila for Riba Kamas. When the Elul davens, every person of the Tzibur davens, is a lot of quantity here. The Ribush from Tfilas was vet mitzvah of Yachad. Here you have many tefillas that you have 10 people davening, let's say. So you have 10 people, 10 tefillas here. The Shas Asorim Yisrael is mispalel zusammen. 10 people daven together, so you have 10 tefillas. Again, in Tfilas Hashat, he front the Maila von Eichos. But when the Chazan davens, then there's the Maila of quality. Why? Where do we seek more quality? Warum? Because. So first the Rebbe says, besides the fact that the Gemara says that the Chazan must have certain qualities. He must be of a high quality. So therefore, even his own personal davening as an individual is a higher level in quality over the stam regular people, because he's a higher quality person. But that's one thing. But the real thing, why is the tefillah of the Chazan called higher in quality, is noch more than what we just said. A shliach tzibur is in yonah. What does it mean that he's a shliach tzibur? Shliach tzibur, the literal translation is he's the shliach, the messenger of the community. So his thing is, he includes the mouths of all the Eden, which means, like he quotes the Loshem Dal Terebe, he becomes the shliach to them all. Shepif kipiyam, his mouth is their mouth. Now, here you have one mouth of the Chazan that really this contains all the mouths. As jeder Wort was is mispalel, so much that every word that the Chazan says, like every person from the community is saying it through his mouth. Das heißt, that means that in Tfilas Hashatz is merukes meuche the Tfilah from dem Tzibur, that in the Tfilah of the Chazan is all together, united, and all get together. The tefillah from the tzibur ve'avet ein betziis from ha'ida kedusha. When he davens, what he has is, it's one person davening, which contains them all, which means it becomes a new thing. And undergether in eichas tefillah, afilu l'gabe the tefillahs for riba mispalel b'tzibur. There's much more quality here. When you have everyone daven, and you count all the davening, so you have 10 tefillahs, 10 people davening. But when you have all 10 as one in the mouth of the Chazan, that's a new gather. That's like we said before, in the minyan, there is a concept of being a new Metzias. That you see, where do you see this being one Metzias, a new Eichos, a new quality of a Metzias? You see that in the Chazan. Und das ist der Plukte von der Chachamim und Rabbi Gamliel. That's the argument von Chachamim and Rabbi Gamliel. Chachamim hold as Ribi Akamis Machriya Deichus, that having more quantity overweighs the quality. Und die Ribi sagen sie, der Rike von Tfilah B'tzibur ist Tfilah Satzibur. That's what they say. The main important part of Tfilah B'tzibur is when you have many people davening. So when you have 10 people, each one is davening, that's more quantity, and they said they're more important. Gamliel, as I said, holds at the Eiches the Kamus, that the quality overweighs the quantity. Therefore, he also says, even though when the Chazan davening in quantity it's less, it's only one davening, one person davening, it's one tefillah. It's more important than all the people davening. Since it's greater, more elevated in quality. Since it has the power of the whole tzibur like one. And in the orders, the Rebbe says that when there's a question of making a bracha and you have many people who are could be yaitza with the bracha, what's better? One person should be yaitza everybody, or each one should say separately. So the Alter Rebbe brings that there is two opinions. So the Rebbe said the two opinions is this idea. The two opinions is better to have more kamus, more quantity, or is it better to have one do it and more quality? No, that's in the order 18. And in the order 19, the Rebbe adds another thing, that when it comes to halacha, we don't pass like Gamliel, like Rabbi Gamliel. Everyone has to daven, but Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, but passing like Rabbi Gamliel. So the Rebbe says it fits because Rosh Hashanah, which is the Reish, and Yom Kippur is also called Rosh Hashanah. That's like the Ruchniske concept of a Shliach Tzibur. It's the head. So the Shliach Tzibur is the head. So on Rosh Hashanah, where it's Reish Hashanah, then we're passing Rabbi Gamliel. But all fits to this idea that the Shliach Tzibur is more in Eichus because he contains them all in one tefillah as a unit in itself, and that's a higher level of Eichus. Then the Rebbe says, I spoke before once, if you find an argument of Chachamim based on the same svara, the same idea, in different places concerning different subjects, there is something new in each one over the others. But the Farm muss abgebracht werden, befehlisch alle Pluktes, und man kann sie nicht ablernen, eine von der zweite. Because otherwise, they should have said their argument in one place, and any other place which is based on the same svara, on the same idea, we'd understand ourselves. Why does he have to say it in these different places? Obviously, each one is a little bit different. And if we'd say in one place, we would not necessarily know the other. But Lashon Hashas, tzricha. The Gemara uses the Lashon tzricha, where the Gemara has 2 times the same similar machlekes. With tzricha, we need them both, because there's something in each one that if we would just say that, we would not know the other. If we change just the other, we would not know this. So the Rebbe says, well, that is Eben Yaneinu, so concerned also. We have 2 arguments here, which are based on the same thing. Whether the tefillah of the chazan is more important than the tefillah of every individual of the tzibur. And then we have the other machlekes, which we just said before, that the Talmidim, what's more important, the many Talmidim or better quality Talmidim, it's all based on the same idea with the Kamos or Eichos, which one is important. Why does it have to say in both? In Yeder from these, it's Pluktes and Alfaran Achidish. Each one has something new that the other one doesn't have. And it explains how. In the Minyan from Beis HaMedrash, when it talks about the Beis HaMedrash, what's more important to have many Talmidim or better quality Talmidim? What were the Talmidim that didn't get in quality? What was the problem? That the inside was not really like his outside. Now that's a bigger problem. Felt in the closest Talmud. So a person like that is missing bichlal, the whole quality of what a Talmud is. The Chazal say, "Kol Talmud Chacham she'en teicha kebar, any Talmud Chacham." That generally a rule that his inside is not like his outside. He's not really a Talmud Chacham. So b'meile here, there's a bigger problem if you let in a Talmud that his inside is not like his outside. But when it comes to the inyan of tefillah, is by tefillah hatzibur faran nicht nur the mile from kamas, nor the mile of neichos. When you have many people davening, so you have more kamas, we said it's more quantity, but there's more eichos. There's eichos there too. There is a mile of eichos. When b'shach tzaniden daven zusammen, hat die tefillah für jeden b'fnei atzmei, aber als teil von sibur a mile gab tefillah hayochid. When 10 people daven together, so it brings a new eichus into each one. Now, it's not the same eichus as by a chazan, who's one person, because each one is separate when they daven separately. But each one being part of a minyan there is a certain level of eichus, which has a mila over some davens without a minyan. As is not as the eichus from tilas hashatz, so it has also each one separately, but together with a minyan. It has an eichus, but the eichus, the quality that you have when the Chazan says it, in welcher the ganze Tzibur wird nisachet als ein Metzies von Aida Gdeisha, when the whole Tzibur becomes part of one unit, is noch b'yasser es tefillah. It's a higher level. But in the union of tefillah, even if you daven each one separately, which is more kamus, has some eichus in it. While by Torah, if that person who, if you'd have more kamus over the eichus, you'd be missing really in the eichus, because if he's ain't teichek about it, there's a big problem. On the Rebbe, when it's wohl gestanden, the Schitte for Reb Gamliel blames by Minyan from Beis HaMedrash. Therefore, if it would just say Reb Gamliel's opinion, but concerning Beis HaMedrash, what man gemeint, we would think a dafke dort geht Basar Eichus. We might have said that in the case of the Beis HaMedrash, only there he says Eichus, the quality is more important. Why? Because there, if you take in the Talmidim that ain't teichek about it, that they're not the way they're supposed to be, you're really missing. You're missing relation. Shenke by that tefillah are made that tefillah tzibirike. You would think, but by tefillah maybe he says that the tefillah of the community is equal. The baldas from Mog Beida Milas, because if everyone davens, you have both milas. There's more quality than if you daven without a minyan. You have a lot, and it's not the same as the eichus of the chazan. But you might think that there, Rabbi Gamliel would say, I'd rather have each one daven. That's why the Gemara has to tell us the opinion of Gamliel also by davening to teach us as them fathers that even this case Rabbi Gamliel holds that it's worthwhile. There should be less quantity in order to have a bigger eichus, even though the quantity itself also has an eichus, we said by tefillah, because if you daven with the minyan eichus, but not the same eichus, not the same high quality as by chazan. So he tells that still he feels that the quality of the chazan is more important. On the other hand, when Shittas the Gamliel plays by tefillah, if the Gamliel's opinion would be only written by davening, his nice of them we can't talk about by Beis HaMedrash. So number one, that wouldn't be enough. If it would just say by tefillah, we would think that when it comes to the tefillah, to the yeshiva, to the talmidim, maybe the chachamim are made it, like we said before. Maybe the chachamim feel it by talmidim. They would agree that you have to have the eichus, not the kamus, because the eichus, if you're missing the eichus, you're really missing the real thing. When negates the shooter as a Gamliel, and the Gamliel's opinion himself, but from dort you can't upland, and as a halt as a negates the Beis HaMedrash. Even Reb Gamliel, if he just tell us benegeya by tefillah, we would not know that he holds the same thing by Beis HaMedrash, that over there the eichus is important, because there's a sword opposite. While Beis HaMedrash is in Yonet Torah, was nicknames v'dibur chaverim and pilbal tamidim. Beis HaMedrash you learn Torah, and Torah says in Pirkei Avos, how do you get it when you have chaverim and you have discussions amongst the talmidim? The Gemara says that you could learn from talmidim even more. So here we would think is vos mer talmidim. So if the more talmidim you have, including those that are not teichek inside like outside. So the more talmidim, als mehr pilpul. You would have more pilpul, more discussion. And als tiefer der nickness. And it says that Torah is nickness. You could acquire Torah. It says in Pirkei Avos through pilpul al talmidim. So here there's something special. So if Rabbi Gamliel would just say that by tefillah he says that the chazan is more important because of eichus, we would not be so sure that by the case of the yeshiva, he also agrees that the eichus is more important. Maybe there the kamus is important because there is a logic. There's svaras both ways. So there's a svara to say that by learning, the more people, talmidim you have, even if they're not such great quality, it's important. So, well, derech hamusa yesh leisi, but the Rebbe says we could add in derech hamusa hayes Torah is meloshnei roa. Learn, b'smedesh you learn Torah. Torah is teaching. The word Torah means teach, which means weisen a mensch wird auf sich führen. Show a person how you're supposed to behave. Bei Meile b'gön amokim leimei, so that you could have thought as a yeshiva is echt zu talmidim shein teichel kebaro. That the yeshiva actually is chatchila yeshiva where we learn Torah is actually made even for those that are lower quality and their insight is not like that, because they because they also have to know how to behave. Going further, maybe the yeshiva is made to elevate them, that they should become at a higher level, that they should become teichem kibarim. So here there would be a svara to say that maybe over here the kamus is more important for these reasons. because in yeshiva it's important to have a lot of talmidim to have more discussion. It's more important because even the people are not so great, you have to bring them in. Therefore, Rabbi Gamliel also has to tell us by the case of Beisamedesh, to teach us that even in this case, Rabbi Gamliel says that what we take in consideration more is the quality. Then the Rebbe is going to bring us another place where we see that it fits to the same machlekes. But here you need like a shtickle hagdom introduction. This discussion, this question we said before, whether the more quantity overweighs the eichus, the quality, is eile bekon echot, fits to something else he's going to say, or the rakaponim ein fun der shaila bekamen, or not maybe fits, but it is connected to a question that the Schapiro is Meirich becoming Mekemis. Rabbi Schapiro says in many places, another discussion. Was is the Riker Adover? Chaimer v'geshem Adover, or there's ein Tzura v'teichen? When you have things, and it has two things, everything has a Chaimer. Chaimer means the substance. What it technically is, the technicality of it, more the things which are physical, the physicality of it, the technical part of it. That's the Chaimer. Chaimer means the something that's tangible. The Geshem, the technicality. Or the tzura. Tzura means the frame, the form, the teichen, what it represents, what's inside, what is abstract behind it. Which one is more important? You have the technicality and you have the tzura. So you have the geshem of it or the teichen of it. And the Rebbe is going to say that these two Chakiris questions are connected. The Chakira we said before, whether quality is more important or quantity, is the same idea basically, or connected to this question, is the chaimer, the more technicality of it is important, or the tzura, the teichen, the inside, the representation of it. If we say that the most important part is the chaimer, the technicality of it, then the kamus is pushed the quantity. Quantity is more technical, and the quantity is more important than the quality. If the main thing is the tzura and the inside, the thing, the abstract part of it, is eichus machir. That's more the eichus. That's more the quality of it. The quality of it is more connected to the tzura of it. Now that we said that these two things are the same, the Rebbe says, based on that, we can find another place where we have an argument between Rabbi Gamliel and Chachamim, and we see also that they go l'shitosim, each one follows his own opinion. That is in the din von Torne Chitnim Vedeli Biseirim Poter Rabbi Gamliel Chayiv. The din is like this: if someone claims that you owe me $100. And he said, Kefer Akel denies, I don't owe you anything. So did I say you put it from a shvur? You don't have to swear. You put it from paying, you don't have to swear. If you're a meide b'miktzas, if you agree, say, well, I owe you only 50. Then the din is, you're called a meide b'miktzas hatayna. If you're admitting part of the claim, then chayiv shvur, you have to swear. But what happens if it's a different case? He claims them, you owe me a certain amount of wheat. And he says, I owe you a certain amount of barley, not wheat. So the chachamim say, you're put it from a shvur. And Gamliel says you're chayiv shvur. You still have to swear. You're still called a meide b'miktzas, the din of meide b'miktzas. The Chachamim, the Tanakama, the first opinion, which we call the Chachamim, halt ma meide b'miktzas chayiv ner ben deido b'miktzas, is meinat haigner. They hold that when are you consider meide b'miktzas and you have to swear, is if you are meide, the mixas, the little bit that you're made is from the same kind of the tainer. In the tainer that you're taining, I admit part. Aber Gamliel halt. Even if you admit, but it's not from the same mean, the same kind of the claim that you're claiming, you still have to swear and you still consider a medium mixes. Here you could say that this is connected to the question that we had before, the discussion. What's the main thing of the birth? Is it the chaimer, the substance, which we said is connected to being the kamus, the quantity, or the tzura, or the tzura, the form, the abstract thing, which is connected to the eichos, to the quality. How is it connected to that? Rabbi explains it very simply. The time for was the yedoah from Meide b'mitzvahs is what would be a reason why the din of Meide b'mitzvahs that you're admitting to part of the claim is only if it's in the minatayne. What's the reason? And if not the minatayne, what's the svara here? Very simple. Because if you're admitting not in part of what his claim was, it comes out as there is nit. You are not admitting to part of the claim. It looks like two things. He's claiming $100 worth of wheat. You are kefer akel. You're not made in that. You're denying completely. And when he agrees that I admits that I owe you barley, is he berheiten talking time from the There was no claim to begin with from the plaintiff. You can't say he's made it to part of the taina, because this is not, he never tained that. So the reason why you're potter in this case, because you're not made to be mixers of what he's claiming. He tained one thing, and that you're okay for that. You're saying something else that's not me that time. But this word events, whether this is an acceptable logic depends. What do we accept as the most important part of a claim? While in taina v'tvias moments and when you claim monetary things, there are two things here. The actual claim is something specific. Whether you claim mechitim, wheat, or seirim, or barley, you're claiming something. So your claim is on a specific thing. But that's the substance of the claim. That's called the kamas, the quantity of the claim. You owe me wheat, $100 worth of wheat. And the teichon from the tviyah is, but the tzura, the teichon, the inside, what does this represent? What is really the abstract part in this claim, which we call the tzura, the form, not the real substance, is momen. It's money. What's a mon beim chaver? But you're asking your friend money. But that's equal by all, whether it's wheat, chitim, or seirim. Bottom line, what you want is he owes you $100. Now, it expresses itself in $100 worth of wheat. So, but really, if you look at deeper, it's the $100, and that's the same whether it's wheat or not. This is the argument between the Chacham and Gamliel, and they follow the opinion like we said before. The Chachamim, according to their opinion, hold the main important part of everything is the kamus, which is the quantity, which is the chaimer, which is the substance of what it is. Well, there is a benit nidan. The same thing in this case. Is that iker the chaimer atain? The main thing is the chaimer, the substance that you're claiming. The melekum to is comes out as in a fall from ton chitim rege b'sein. So if you're claiming wheat and he admits in barley, and he talking made of a mixes ataina. He's not made of a mixes. Not to half of the taina, because if you're looking at the taina of what he's saying, he asked for wheat. Wheat you're denying completely. We're looking mainly at what was behind the time. What does the taina mean? What's the eichus? What's the quality of the taina? So wheat and barley is the same. It's money. All you're asking is $100. Whether he asked it about chitim, but if you look at deeper, the riber is a saidoba mixer, so you are admitting to part what he said. Even though it's not memin of the taina. Mitzad the mitzad the physicality of it, it's not the same. So you're not made it from part of the taina. But looking deeper, mitzad eichos you are. It's the taina is mainly money. So you have another place where the machlekes is based on this logic. So we have the same question now. If it's the same logic, why does it have to say here when, if they say the other two places, we would understand ourselves here. So obviously there's something special here that we would not know if we'd only have the other two. When the chidush and der plukte legabe the Friedrich and zwei pluktes is, and the chidush, the specialty, the difference in this argument over the other two, meaning that if we'd say the other two, we wouldn't know this one, is like this. Beis HaMedrash, which is Torah and Tefillah, the other two is talking about the Beis HaMedrash, which is about learning Torah, and about davening, the Shliach Tzibur. They're both a union of a mitzvah. So maybe over there, Reb Gamliel says we have to look at the quality more than the quantity, because we're talking about a qualified type of thing. We're talking about a mitzvah. Since this is an object of a mitzvah, talking about a mitzvah, a holy thing, is that's a qualified, something that has to do with qualification. The Mele here, Reb Gamliel holds that the quality is more important than the quantity. Why? Because we're talking about something that its whole concept is quality. But if you come to physical things, they don't have any importance. There's no Torah involved. The Rebbe gives an example. Rasha says concerning a meal in the weekdays, Rasha says the Loshen, there it talks about that you can't eat something on Shabbos if it was prepared the day on Yontiv. Let's say if an egg was born on Yontiv, which is Sunday, so it means it was finished already and prepared before it came out the day before. And Rabbi says it needs hazmona. You can't have, if it was prepared and made ready on Shabbos, you can't eat it on Yontiv the next day, or if it was ready on Yontiv, on Shabbos. But then Rashi asks, so you could never eat something, an egg that was born on Sunday, you can't eat. Why was it can't eat? Because we said that every egg that's born on the day really was finished the day before. So it comes out that the food that you're eating on Sunday, the egg you're eating on Sunday, was prepared before. But you need hazmona. You can't have hazmona on Shabbos. So Rashi says that's only legabe a Yontiv meal or a Shabbos meal. But sudas chayil lechshived. The fact that you're eating in the weekdays, that's not important. There's no shaykhs. You need hazmona. You don't need hazmona. That has nothing to do with any importance. From Zayndik Asudas Rishu, since it's a meal that's only if you want to eat it, you could eat it, but there's no mitzvah there. Nit kan Torah mitzias. It's not a mitzias of Torah. It doesn't have importance that you have to prepare it in the proper way. So what do we see from here? That something of Torah, tefillah, things like that is eichus, is choshev. Things of Rishus is not choshev. And the Rebbe, therefore, when it's nicht gestanden befehl, Shittas Gamliel, if we wouldn't have the opinion of Reb Gamliel concerning the meide b'mixas, that when you ask for wheat and he's made in barley, but when he can't uplearn a shitose from Torah tefillah, we wouldn't be able to learn since by Torah tefillah he holds that eichus is the ikir, so he holds here also eichus is the ikir. But mainly we look at the depth of the taina and not the taina itself, because maybe over there, because it's talking about things which are quality things, but we wouldn't know that by Dover or shoes by regular things of tining, we do the same thing. Therefore, he had to say it here too. Well, there's a leader, he says the same thing the other way. When es wohl gestanden, die Plukte von den Chachomim, mit Reb Gamliel, blaze when the Gehet Yedod min atayne. On the other hand, if we would have their argument just concerning this case of the wheat and the barley, we wouldn't know what Chachomim was. If we'd see the Machlek is here by the case of the wheat, and the Chachomim say that here we look at the Kamus, we would not know what they hold by the other two by Torah Tefillah. We would think maybe over there, because it's mitzvahs, it's holy things, maybe there they admit. So therefore, it has to say in both places. Then the Rebbe continues. So far we had 3 places where we have it. One benegay Torah, one benegay Tefillah, and one benegay divrei reshus, things which are not. Then the Rebbe said, just like we find the argument, the opinions of Rabbi and the Chama concerning the 2 pillars of Torah Tefillah, we know that Pirkei Avos says there are 3 pillars: Torah Tefillah, Torah Naveda, which is Tefillah, and Gemilas Chasodim. There is a gefind when they by them dritten nomad from Tzedakah. We find the same machlekes when it comes to the 3rd pillar by Tzedakah, which falls into the category of Gemilas Chasodim, of kindness. What's their machlekes? In Gemara, there's a posuk that says that the chesed of goyim is a sin. So it's a machlekes in Gemara. Rabbi Eliezer zog, Rabbi Eliezer said chesed l'machatos. Why is the chesed of a goy a chatos sin? Because kol tzedakah v'chesed shumes akum eisim chetu lehem. All tzedakah and kindness that these nations do, it's a sin for them. They only do it in order to make themselves big. Yeshua says, kol tzedakah chulus chetu lehem. The tzedakah that they do is a sin. They only do it so their kingdom should continue. Gamliel zogt, kol tzedakah v'chesed chetu lehem. He says that the chesed and tzedakah that the goyim do is a sin. They only do it for their ego, for becoming, for their begaive. Now the question is, what's the difference between the first and the third? What's the difference? Rabbi Eliezer says it's in order to become big, and Rabbi Gamliel says it's in order to become balgaive. Isn't it the same thing? It's masber. The Marsho explains the chiluk dot zwischen Lisgadol and Lisyair Bey. What's the difference Lisgadol Bey and Lisyair, to make themselves big and Lisyair? That Lisgadol Bey meant, the Marsho says, doesn't mean Lisgadol doesn't mean Loshem Gdula v'chshivas. They make themselves big, make themselves important. That's the same thing as Lisyair. Lisyair means they become balagaive. So he says, no, dos mean they make themselves big in years, that they should have a long life. So what does it come out? That according to Rabbi Eliezer, they do it in order to get reward to long of life. According to Rabbi Yeshua, they do it in order that their malchus should continue. And according to Gamliel, they do it to become baligaive. Now, there's a big difference here. The says means like this: the difference between the first two, which are Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua, and the Roshas of Gamliel, and what Rabbi Gamliel says is like this: Like say, bastei de chatas for dumas, and then what they turned tzedakah v'chetz is not to lip schar. But their problem is that they do it for a reward. Whether the reward is to have a long life, or the reward is that their malchus should continue. By the Gamliel, what is their sin? Was a chesed tzedakah is to leave, umemela brings it to their midah v'chet from gaiva. It's because, and it brings them to the sin of gaiva. It's not because it's for schar, for reward, and not for their mitzvah, but it's because it brings them for God. Was it the svara argument between Rav Gamliel, who says it's because it brings them to gaiva, and the other two, it says because they're doing it for their own sake, for their own ego, for their own, not ego, they do it for their own sake, for that they should have the proper reward. So what's the svara of the machlekes? We could say it's connected with what we said before. What establishes, what's important? Is it the technicality of it, or is it the tzura, the form in it, the frame in it, which is the form, which is the more abstract in it? What does it got to do? The asbara bezed explanations like this. So for the Rebbe says like this: Zogen as it's doke v'chesed v'suma seilum tuin is nicht bleist kamitzvah nit nur is verkehrt anin yifachatos to say that the kindness and the tzedakah that goyim do is not only not a mitzvah, but it's the opposite. It's a sin. Why would it be a sin? He says, must be because in the tzedakah that they do or the chesed they do, there's something missing. But the father does so it has a certain sin in it, because if it's not done in the proper, the tzedakah of a chesed is not done rightfully. But maybe there's a concept of sin here. In the mitzvah of tzedakah, but now in the mitzvah of tzedakah, there are two parts. Number one, the ma'isa and the sin aloni, the physical fact. Pasha, you give food, money, whether to the poor man. You make sure that the poor man gets his needs. Then there's the second thing, the eichos for the nesina, the quality of his giving. The saver upon him yofis. You have to give it, it says, with a smile, with a nice face. You show how you feel for the oni. There are Loshen Chazal, like the Chazal say, that when you give him money, that goes along with mafaise bidvorim. You have to appease him. You have to make him feel good. You have to take nice words to him. Und das is an Iker b'tzedakah, and it's not just a side thing, the extra thing. That's an important part in the mitzvah tzedakah. And with the Rambam passing, the Rambam says, if someone gives tzedakah to a poor man with that face, even if you gave him 1,000 gold coins of aschusei, you lost your merit, and you lost it. So you have two parts in tzedakah. So basically, we have two parts. We have the kamus, which means the chaymer, the physicality of the mitzvah, the giving of the money. Then you have the spirituality of it, the eichos, the quality of it. When in dem besteht der Plukte zwischen Rabbi Gamliel und the Friedrich zwei Mann Domers. And this is the argument between Rabbi Gamliel and the previous two opinions, which they say is because they're doing it for their own benefit. And Rabbi Gamliel says that it's because they become a Balgai. The difference is like this. Rabbi Lozer and Rabbi Yeshua halten that the Rike von Tzedakah is the Chaymer v'Kamas. Rabbi Lozer Yeshua hold that the main thing of Tzedakah is the first part. The Chaymer, the technicality of it, the quality, quantity of it. The pull is on a single, and the fact that you're giving to the poor man. And the father is late say, therefore they hold, if the main thing is the giving, that you're giving something to the Oni, the way they do it, for the sake of reward, for their benefit, there's something missing. What's missing? What's wrong here? See, their whole purpose is that they should get reward. And so much so, Rasha says in Bava Basra that by them, if they don't get the reward, they will regret why they gave. So their whole giving is not because you want to give, it's giving to themselves basically. So it comes out that there is a problem in the giving. That it's measured by what they want, in how big the schar will be, and getting the schar. They're not giving it for the needs of the poor man. They're not interested in giving the poor man his needs. Nor that they should get, or they should live long, or the malchus should be long, should continue. So the giving is not a real giving. Then the technical part of tzedakah to give is giving the person. When you give to help the person, to give him his needs. And their tzedakah is not to give the person. So they're missing in the actual giving of tzedakah. In the kamus, That's what he says. That's their problem. The main thing by everything is the tzura and the echus, the spirituality, the quality of it. There's a tzedakah. Adirike from tzedakah is the Ramafaisi. He said by tzedakah, it's the main thing of tzedakah is not the actual giving, it's the feeling that you have behind it. That how you show the poor man, you show him that you give him the words and you care about him, but it's the feeling that you show. So according to that, what is the problem in the goy is giving tzedakah b'chesed? Not because they're doing it for reward. It's not a problem, but he doesn't care about that because the ikar tzedakah is not a giving. What did we say before? If they do it for schar, they're not really giving tzedakah. But Rabbi Gamliel says that's not the main thing of tzedakah. The giving is not the main thing, so that's not the problem. Nor in them was a tunis leisiyai. The problem is that they do it to become baligayve, their ego. Chshivus v'gadol haneisen, that the giver should be choshev. But also in that echos tzedakah, that's not a problem in how you give in the giving of the tzedakah. But that's the problem in the ikir of tzedakah, in the echos of the tzedakah. Why? The ikir from tzedakah, the sever panim yofis. The main thing of tzedakah is the nice face that you show, which means mitfil nemafai is the money to feel and to appease the poor man. But those shaykh is never the nation helps mit hechef from the money. That's only shaykh if the giver doesn't hold himself greater than the poor man. Here, if they give tzedakah to become big, to shvaket, they're giving it because they're bigger than him, and it makes him bigger. And makes him big balagayvi. They have their ego. So it's the opposite of you. What tzedakah, the echos of tzedakah is to lower yourself to him and feel that, tell him it's no problem, I'm not better than you. But if you give tzedakah with the feeling and you show it that you're doing it to become better than him, or you show because I'm better than him, so you're missing in the ikar of the echos of tzedakah. And that's the machlekes. According to the other ones, the ikar of tzedakah is the kamus, and therefore the problem is in the way they give it, the giving. And according to Gamil, the ikar is the echos, so the problem in what's behind it, the echos of it. And that's why he says the problem with the when they get tzedakah is machriach. As we said before, each time you need something special, why it's written here and we can't learn it out from the others. So here we have that same too. That when Gamliel says that eichus v'tzura is machriya, overweighs is the eichus, while es is do achidush in sein shita b'negeit tzedakah legaba the selbe shita by andere divrei kedusha tefillah beis hamedrash. There's something a chidush here in the inyan when it comes to tzedakah over the, even though it's the same idea of the eichus, but it's not the same. There's something different here than tefillah and beis hamedrash, which is stated. Why? In Yonam v'ikar from Teira Tefillah is nit as either Chemer nor the Eichus v'Tzura Shalem. Bechlal, by Teira and Tefillah, be'etzem, the most important part over there is the Eichus. The Rikar from Teira is, what's the main thing of Teira? The Havana Sinyan Anilmut. Understand what you learned. So it's not the physical learning, it's the Eichus, like we said before, that more spiritual part. Nazayech, Ados is Limud Amevil Demais, also when you learn, has to bring you to action. But Dos Anyan Nikri in Teira, it's a very important part of Teira. Well, Derech Zeh by Tefillah also. The etzem, the whole union of tefillah is ikra aveda shebalev. Tefillah is the aveda of the heart. Kavana, the kavana is das, the kavana in front of understanding. So you could say like this, that by Teira and tefillah, Rabbi Gamliel holds eichus is more important because the whole concept of Teira and tefillah is eichus dikinyan. Shenken by tzedakah is l'heipeh, by tzedakah is the opposite. Ikirin and tzedakah is the malat tzorchas oni. The main thing concept of tzedakah is not talking about the person who gives, but the main purpose is that the poor man gets the money. As bakum is eine tzroch, we should get its needs. When the far came on him and as is nit negate the kavanah from this. So here, there would be possible to say that even though Rabbi Gamliel holds by the other places that eichos is important, maybe here it's not so important. What's in tzedakah the eichos? The kavanah. Who said the kavanah is so important? No, the kabbalah is not anything as long as he got the money. But you state in Sifri, it says in Sifri, but neiner is ma'abed selah matich. If someone loses, I sell a coin from his hand, loses it. Well, motza only beholach when his partner's born. A poor man found it and he used it for his livelihood. So it makes as if he has the schus. So he has the schus. So we see the main thing is that he gets. So therefore, when Leib will gestanden shittas of Gamliel nor by tefillah and Teira. Therefore, if we only know Rabbi Gamliel's opinion that eichus is more important, we only learn it by tefillah and Teira. Well, we couldn't have said that by tzedakah is made that the ikar is kamus. Maybe by tzedakah he would agree that the main thing is kamus, because over there it's eichus because these are eichus dicker things. Therefore, that's to say clearly that he holds by tzedakah. Lashmeinu, to teach us as they do halter Gamliel as Magid Basarechas, that even here he holds that we follow the Eichos. The Idar Gisa, on the other hand, and this is another point for Eidin, another Indian here. When Shita is Gamliel, but Gates because now we have to go the opposite. So if there's something in Tzedakah that's more than the others, and it's a chidush that here he holds the Eichos, so let's say just here. Let's say just by Tzedakah, we'll say Ma'adoch here, which we're talking about a physical thing. The Eichos is important according to Gamliel, certainly by Teir and Tefillah. No, we would not know that. If Shita is a Gamliel Tzedakah, but man nicht gekannt ausleinen, wie sein Shita is ben get Tefillah bis Hamedesh, we would not know that the same opinion applies concerning davening bis Hamedesh. But by Tzedakah is blazing gehe welcher von die zwei is gewehr. By Tzedakah, it's a question like this: which are the two? In other words, Eichos or Kamus? Is it the giving of the money, or is it the way you give it and the kavanah behind it, etc., etc.? But that's not a contradiction. There are two parts here. And the shaila, which of the two is important? Chaymer v'kamus or the tzura beichas? Is the chaymer, the substance and the quantity, more important or the tzura? Be'ifan as achros ha'echas minit nid the kamus. Let's say if you say that the echas is more important, it doesn't take away from the kamus, from the quantity. If you say the quality part is more important, okay, but there's a quantity also. It's not that if we give credence, we give more importance to the quality, it minimizes in the quantity. So here you could say the quality is important more. They're contradicting each other. If you say that the quality is more important, then the quantity is minimized, gets less. For instance, by Besamedrish, akamus mo'oto from Talmidim, if you can have less quantity of Talmidim, only those Talmidim that the inside is like the outside. So if you give chshivas to the quality, automatically you're taking away from the quantity, because now you have a bismedish which less talmidim instead of having ribis avsolim, many seats. So here we're talking about not just which one of the two, you have two and they're both there. Which one do we take more in consideration? Here it's which one overrides the other, that takes away from the other. The same thing by Tefillah. By Tefillah it's even more. But the ganze Teichel Neichs von Ashlatz by State for the Miyata Kamus. The whole idea of saying that the Chazan is the more important one, what it means is, and not the other ones. Asinitoke Ribu Kamus at Tefillah. Fakir was saying the Chazan is the only one, the other one should not daven. Nor blaze ain't Tefillah for them ganze Tzibur. If you say like Rabbi Gamliel that the Eichos is more important, that means that the Kamus will not be there, because he says the others don't have to daven. So you only have to have this and take away the Kamus. Und die Rebbe wollte von seinem Schitte bei Tzedakah nicht abgelernt, dass bei geht Basar Eichos. And therefore, by Tzedakah, if he would say by Tzedakah that you follow the Eichos, we would not know automatically that by the other two he also follows the Eichos. Because he would say maybe by Tzedakah because you don't take away from the Kamus. You follow the Eichos, that's more important, and you have certain things about the Eichos. But he doesn't minimize, take away from the Kamus. But to say that by the other places where the Eichos takes away from the Kamus, maybe he would not hold. Therefore, he has to say it by the other places also. So now we understand the other way also, but that what would be if it would be written only over there, only here, only by the case of tzedakah, that the chachamim hold the ikar is the kamus. We would not know by Torah and Tefillah what's there, because over there one takes away from the other. So it takes away from the other. Maybe the chachamim will agree. But there we don't say whichever way. The same like Rabbi Gamliel. In other words, from the fact that we say it here by tzedakah, if it's said by the other places, I mean, we would not know by tzedakah, because over there you're taking away. So here we don't take away. No, if it opposite. If it would say just by tzedakah, we would not know, because we could say by tzedakah when it takes away. So maybe the chachamim hold that kamus is more important because it takes away from the eichos. I think about it. Over there, we wouldn't know, and therefore it has to be written in all these places. The Shleimer that we could say as der chidush in shita zagamliya was malem top from filos hashatz as eich an eichos was is mamaita kamus is machria. So he said there was this chidush that we just said now that Rabbi Gamliel holds that even in the case where one takes away from the other, so he says that the eichos is more important even if it takes away from the kamus. He's verbunden mit den Yonesh Rabbi Gamliel. It's connected to who he was, his inyan. Als Nossi, he was the Nossi. What's the concept of a Nossi? The Nekudi Ikis on a Nossi is the main point of a Nossi. Is was a Nossi is Daf Keiner. A Nossi is only one. That's what the Nossi is. Al derech ve'amelech, like a king. Does a scan sein? You could have a second to the king. Plak case, there's an expression in Gemara. You can have a half a king. But a melech, you could have assistants, so to speak, but can't have a melech more than one. The mitzias von zwei melochim can sein nur wenn sie meluche is b'shnei mekemes. The idea of two melochim could only be two places. Al derech malcha Yudah malcha Yisrael, you had divided, so they're in different places. But if it's all in one place, like the Rebbe says in the Order 51, kishakol ador b'yachad, if everybody's together, you only have one leader to the door. You can't have more than one. So a king is one and a nosi is one. The Tama Dover is what's the reason? But a nosi umelech is aninya shleichus. The whole concept of a melech or a nosi is an eichus dike thing. It's a qualitative. I don't know if that's the right word. An eichus dike thing, a quality thing. You do it's known as a nosi and melech is in the kudas hametzias from the ganzen nam. The nosi is the point, the metzias of all the Yidden together. But the Father derinya from a nosi and melech nicht verbunden mit ribe hakamus. Leib. That's why by a nosi and melech there's no quantity. You can't have more than one. It is einer. The mud, the yesen and kamus, the least possible in quantity is one, and that's what you have by a king. As a mile is dafke in geidlo eichus. The mile of the king is in his eichus, in his position, in his quality. The Father is a demonic, but his machdes kol oman hige. That's why he could unite everybody. He's one nekuda that everybody is connected to him, and he runs everybody. And the Rebbe here in the Order 53 says, that's why the Rambam says that the king is called Leib called Kal Yisrael, the heart of Kal Yisrael. Why the heart? So he says because the union of a heart is very weak. Of course, the Zayar, the heart is weak. It's a weak organ, or whatever you call it. So the Melech is like the heart. He's weak. His Metzias is no kamus. Weak means it's quality, not quantity. When the Father is Aishita b'negei l'tefillah, that's why Rabbi Gamliel was a nosi. His opinion b'negei l'tefillah, as eichus is neat nor derike. Not only that, when you have two eichus and kamos, and both exist, and just which one's dik and eichus is dik, nor as is negei at kol kach. It's so important the eichus as is a machriya afilim and as is mamayid betachlis the kamos, even if it takes away the kamos. Like by the case of the Besamedrish, by saying that the eichus is important, he didn't allow the kamos to happen because his inyan is eichus. Und das ist der Chilik Asita zwischen Reb Gamliel und der Chachamim. And that's the difference of Gamliel and the Chachamim, who they were. Gamliel was the Nasi. One. Zay seinen gewähnt, bleis Chavre Sanhedrin. The other Chanoim were the Chaverim, the members of the Sanhedrin. But the Rinya from Chavre Sanhedrin is Ribi HaKamus. Being a member of Sanhedrin, their Kamus quantity is important. From Sanhedrin was home them Ribi from 9 Aleph. Sanhedrin has to have 71 people. When I say felt, I feel eine from Zayvet, if one of them is missing, even the smallest one, the least one, it's not a real Sanhedrin. And what it says in Hayri is like a certain dinim. It's not called Sanhedrin. When the Father is a pluk the kololis canal, therefore the general idea, so the whether the more of quantity outweighs the quality, or the opposite. And that's their argument, and we see it by Tefillah, so it fits to this. The Chachamim halten as Tefillah at Tziburike. By Tefillah, it's Chachamim hold that the different people, the Tzibur themselves, each one should daven, is what they hold. Why? Bedugmas Chavre Sanhedrin, like what they were. They were members of Sanhedrin, but you had to have 71 people. So here also you have to have each person daven. That's kamus. That's why they hold the kamus as dikir. That's why they hold everyone has to daven. Shengar Gamliel held. Gamliel holds that tefillah hashliach tzibur. The tefillah of the shliach tzibur. V'bald as the shliach tzibur is the nekudas ha'eichus from the ganzen tzibur. He's the point of eichus, of quality of the whole tzibur, which is bedugmas hanosi, like the nosi. But said in the nekudas ha'eichus from the ganzen nam. He's in the nekuda, the point of quality of the whole nation, and he, the nosi, held that way. So the Rebbe makes different machlekes in different places. They connected to the mahus and the metzias of each one of these, of Reb Gamliel and other chachamim.